What if I told you that um, your chances of becoming a millionaire have less to do with your work ethic and almost everything to do with the physical ground you are standing on right now?
I mean, that completely disrupts the narrative we are fed from day one, doesn't it?
Right, because we are conditioned to treat wealth creation as this purely solitary individual equation.
Yeah, exactly. You were told to skip the expensive coffee, squirrel away a portion of your paycheck, and just somehow outsmart the market all by yourself.
Yeah, the standard advice makes it sound like you are operating in a vacuum. You sit at your kitchen table, looking at your budget, assuming your financial destiny rests entirely on your own shoulders.
But you aren't in a vacuum at all.
No, not even close. Where you live acts as a massive, often invisible variable. It is either this brutal headwind pushing you backward, or it is an incredible tailwind accelerating your finances.
Okay, let's unpack this.
I am so ready for this one. Because today we are on a mission to map out those wins. We are diving into some fresh 2025 data from the UBS Global Wealth Report, which was recently visualized by Visual Capitalist, to uncover the world's most powerful millionaire-making machines.
And we aren't just looking at the leaderboard to see who is winning, right?
Exactly. We are breaking open the underlying mechanisms to find out exactly why specific environments are churning out seven-figure bank accounts.
And having you join us for this deep dive is essential, because once you start looking at personal wealth through a macroeconomic lens, you really can't unsee it.
You really can't.
The data shows these distinct structural patterns of wealth creation around the globe. This isn't just some abstract theory. This is the hidden architecture of financial success.
And to understand that architecture, we kind of have to start with the absolute baseline for sheer overwhelming volume.
The elephant in the room?
The elephant in the room, yes. The United States. The numbers here almost don't look real at first glance.
They really are staggering.
Right. So in 2025 alone, the U.S. minted an astonishing 441,078 brand new millionaires.
I mean, just let the scale of that single-year addition sink in for a second. That jump brings the total number of U.S. residents with at least $1 million in wealth to over 23.6 million people.
It's just wild.
It is. The U.S. single-handedly accounted for nearly half of all new millionaires created globally last year.
Let me put that in perspective with the runner-up just to show how crazy that is.
Go for it.
So the country in second place is the United Kingdom, and they added 43,139 new millionaires.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, the United States added more than 10 times the amount of the second-place nation. It is just an absolute juggernaut.
It's a completely different stratosphere.
But we promise to look under the hood here. Why is this happening? What is the actual mechanism making the U.S. such a massive outlier?
Well, the UBS data points directly to the U.S. equity markets and the cultural pervasiveness of household investing.
Right, the stock market.
Exactly. And what's fascinating here is how deeply systemic that investing culture actually is.
How do you mean?
Well, when people see that massive 441,000 number, the immediate assumption is usually, well, Americans just get paid higher salaries.
Right, they just make more money so they save more money.
Yeah, but income alone, even a really high income, rarely creates explosive wealth growth on its own. Human nature usually dictates that spending rises right along with it.
Oh, lifestyle creep is real.
Exactly. The true engine here is how the stock market is structurally woven into the very fabric of everyday American life.
Okay, let me try a visual to see if I'm grasping this correctly.
Sure, lay it on me.
Imagine you are trying to get to the top floor of a skyscraper. In many parts of the world, citizens are essentially forced to climb the stairs of wealth, right?
Okay, I like.
They earn a paycheck, they pay their taxes, they manually transfer some cash into a savings account, and they just hope the interest rate beats inflation.
Which is a tough climb.
It is. Every single step up that staircase requires immense manual effort and personal discipline. But the U.S. equity market acts like a massive automated escalator.
That is a perfect way to look at it. To build on your escalator analogy, think about the motor powering it.
Okay.
In the U.S., you have systems like the 401k, where money is automatically deducted from a worker's paycheck and invested into the broader market before they ever even see it in their bank account.
Right, it's just gone. Out of sight, out of mind.
Yes. And then you have widespread retail investing apps. You have a culture that completely normalizes putting your excess capital into index funds.
It's just what you do.
Exactly. And when you do that, you are legally binding your personal net worth to the profit-generating engines of the largest corporations in the world.
So you just have to, step onto the escalator.
Essentially, yes. The underlying economic growth of those corporations, their innovations, their global sales, their efficiencies, it all translates directly into your personal household wealth.
The equity markets are just doing all the heavy lifting for you.
They compound over time in the background. It transforms a portion of your regular income into massive personal wealth through a mechanism that a traditional low-yield savings account simply cannot replicate.
Okay, but hold on.
Yeah.
Relying so heavily on a single centralized stock market to just go up forever, that feels a bit fragile, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, if the U.S. market hits a lost decade, that escalator suddenly stops. Or worse, it goes into reverse.
That is a very valid concern.
Is there a different way countries are doing this, like a model that doesn't rely entirely on one massive, isolated economic engine?
That exact question brings us across the Atlantic. If the United States represents absolute solitary dominance, the European model is entirely different.
Okay, what does their model look like?
It is wealth creation by association. While the U.S. holds the unassailable #1 spot, Europe as a region completely dominates the rest of the top 10 list.
Yeah, looking at how Europe clusters together on this list is wild.
It really is.
We already mentioned the UK is sitting at #2, but right behind them, France is #3, adding 34,604 new millionaires.
And Spain is #4 with 32,707.
Right. And then skip down a bit, and Italy is at #7 with 28,596. Germany is #9 with 24,263, and Russia takes the 10th spot with 21,951.
And just to be completely precise with the geography before we analyze that block, we have to mention Australia.
Ah, yes, the Aussie outlier.
Yeah, they sit at #8 with just over 25,000 new millionaires. They are the sole geographic outlier in an otherwise intensely Eurocentric top 10 if we exclude the U.S. and the two Asian countries we'll get to shortly.
Fair enough. We can't forget Australia. But let's look back at that European cluster taking up 6 of the top 10 spots.
Right.
The UBS report indicates this growth isn't coming from one dominant sector in one dominant country, but from regional economies working together.
That's the key difference.
So what does this all mean? If Europe is so interconnected and sharing all this economic activity, why isn't a single European country putting up US-level numbers? Doesn't this collaborative web basically dilute the wealth?
It doesn't dilute it, it distributes it, which creates a vastly different economic architecture.
But distribute, not dilute.
Exactly. The European wealth engine is fundamentally decentralized. In the U.S., you have a winner-take-all dynamic heavily concentrated in massive tech hubs and financial centers.
Right, like Silicon Valley and Wall Street.
Yes. But in Europe, the shared regulatory frameworks, the trade agreements, and the simple geographical proximity mean that success in one nation immediately spills over the borders.
Walk me through what that actually looks like on the ground. How does a spillover make someone a millionaire?
Let's say you have a founder who starts a highly successful logistics software company in Germany.
Okay.
Because of the European single market, that founder doesn't face massive tariffs or complex, contradictory regulatory hurdles to sell that software in France, Spain, or Italy.
Right. It's just much easier to expand.
Exactly. So as the German company scales across those borders, it requires regional managers in Paris, vendors in Madrid, data centers in Rome.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the economic velocity generated by that single German innovation rapidly stimulates the markets of its neighbors.
I see what you mean now. So rather than one massive cruise ship where all the wealth is consolidated, it is like a rising tide lifting an entire marina of national boats.
That is a great way to put it. The barrier to expansion is significantly lower.
Which is why you see so many European countries on that list.
Precisely. This prevents any single European nation from monopolizing the wealth creation, which answers your question about why no single country puts up U.S. numbers.
That makes total sense.
Instead, it creates a highly resilient environment. If one national economy faces a temporary downturn, the interconnected web acts as a buffer.
So the wealth creation is shared.
Exactly, meaning the millionaire-making capacity is spread across a much broader geographic and cultural footprint.
That makes the contrast so clear. We have the individualistic, equity-driven escalator in the U.S. and the interconnected, decentralized web in Europe.
Two very different paths to wealth.
But if Europe's strength relies on how closely these countries are clustered together in space, what happens when we look at economies separated by their position in time?
Oh, I like where you're going with this.
What happens when you put a fully matured, deeply established financial system right next to one that is experiencing its initial explosive boom? Here's where it gets really interesting.
It does.
Because when we shift our focus over to Asia, we get this fascinating split-screen effect.
The juxtaposition of Japan and India in this 2025 data is probably one of the most revealing case studies in modern macroeconomics.
It's amazing.
You have two massive economies achieving almost identical end results through completely opposite methods.
The numbers are practically identical. Japan sits right in the middle of our top 10 at number 5, creating 31,428 new millionaires in 2025.
And right on their heels at number 6 is India, creating 31,033 new millionaires.
They're separated by fewer than 400 people. It's crazy.
It is. But the UBS report highlights that Japan's wealth is being forged by the stability of an established market, while India's wealth is being forged by rapid economic expansion. If we connect this to the bigger picture, what we are observing is the complete life cycle of economies playing out side by side.
So Japan represents the late-stage mature economy.
Yes. And India represents the explosive emerging market.
Let me throw an analogy at you to capture this dichotomy.
All right.
Japan feels like a massive, highly engineered freight train. It is running on these incredibly polished, century-old tracks.
Okay, I can see that.
Right, like it doesn't need to accelerate wildly to generate immense power. Its sheer mass and momentum do the work.
And India.
India, on the other hand, is a rocket ship riding the raw, chaotic, roaring energy of a launch pad. They are both achieving vertical lift, but the engineering is completely different.
To take your freight train analogy a step further, think about what happens when a train that massive is in motion.
It's hard to stop.
It is incredibly difficult to slow down. It takes a massive amount of friction to derail it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In a mature market like Japan, the wealth creation isn't about sudden disruption. It is about compounding and retention.
Because the groundwork is already laid.
Exactly. The financial infrastructure is deeply rooted. You have global legacy brands that have existed for decades, and a highly structured domestic banking system.
So for a person living in Tokyo, becoming a millionaire is more about holding steady in a protective system.
Precisely. Becoming a millionaire in Japan is often the result of long-term participation in an environment that inherently protects and slowly grows existing capital.
Just slow and steady.
Yes, an executive might hold blue-chip stock for 30 years in a relatively deflationary or low-inflation environment. It is highly predictable, and that stability acts as a fortress around personal wealth.
But then you pivot to India, and predictability is thrown out the window.
Completely thrown out the window. India is experiencing an upsurge in brand new market activity.
This is the rocket launch.
This is the rocket launch. You have a massive young population being brought into the digital economy at a blistering pace.
Just millions of people coming online.
Yeah, and you have the rapid modernization of infrastructure and a surging domestic startup ecosystem. Wealth here isn't being created by a 60-year-old executive slowly compounding legacy stock.
Right.
It is being created by explosive new value generation.
Right. It's 25-year-old founders finding entirely new efficiencies.
Exactly.
They are launching digital payment apps and capturing market share that literally did not exist 5 years ago.
Exactly. The sheer velocity of economic change in India is minting millionaires out of thin air by creating new industries entirely.
So while the end result looks identical on a spreadsheet, like roughly 31,000 new millionaires each,
Yeah.
the lived experience of those individuals is fundamentally different.
It couldn't be more different. The Japanese millionaire leveraged deep-rooted stability. The Indian millionaire capitalized on rapid disruptive expansion.
It is incredible how the same destination can be reached on completely different roads.
It really highlights how diverse global wealth creation is right now.
Absolutely. But everything we have talked about so far, the U.S., Europe, Japan, India, these are all stories of absolute volume.
Right. These are the heavy hitters.
Exactly. These are global heavyweights with massive populations. But I want to find the raw momentum.
The velocity.
Yes. Because if you want to know where the financial weather is changing the fastest on a local level, absolute numbers actually hide the truth. You have to look at percentage growth.
And this brings us to the underdogs.
Yes, the underdogs.
Looking at percentage growth is how we identify the emerging hotspots. These are the environments that might not make global headlines for their total volume, but internally, they are experiencing a quiet financial revolution.
And the UBS report points directly to Eastern Europe as the current epicenter for this momentum.
Which is fascinating.
The absolute leader in the world for percentage growth is Lithuania. Lithuania saw a massive 8% increase in its millionaire population population in 2025.
Wow.
Now, that 8% jump brings its total number of millionaires to 921. And coming in second for growth is Turkey, which jumped 6.4% to reach a total of 5,650. Latvia, Hungary, and Ireland round out the rest of the top 5.
That's a very revealing list.
Now, I have to stop you here and challenge this a bit.
Please do.
We just spent the first portion of this deep dive talking about the United States adding almost 500,000 new millionaires in a single year.
We did.
We talked about giant European coalitions. Why on earth should you, the listener, care about Lithuania adding a few dozen people to reach a grand total of just 921?
It sounds so small in comparison, right?
It does. When you put it next to the American juggernaut, it feels like a statistical rounding error. Why does this matter?
This raises an important question about relative momentum and what it actually feels like to live in an economy that is suddenly lifting off.
Okay, tell me about that feeling.
You have to stop looking at the global leaderboard and put yourself in the shoes of an entrepreneur living and working in Vilnius or someone opening a business in Istanbul.
All right, I'm there.
An 8% growth in the local millionaire class in a single 12-month period signifies a violently shifting local environment.
So it isn't about the specific 921 people who crossed the threshold.
No, not at all.
It's about what that 8% spike represents for the whole ecosystem around them.
That is exactly it. A high percentage growth indicates that the historical ceiling for personal financial success in that specific geography is suddenly being shattered.
Like breaking through the roof.
Yeah. When a country's millionaire population spikes by 8%, it is a flare going up. It means new industries are successfully taking root.
Oh, that makes sense.
It means foreign capital is likely flowing into their tech or manufacturing sectors. It means local entrepreneurs are finding exits and scaling businesses at a rate that was previously considered impossible for that region.
It is like the literal air pressure in the room changing.
Yes.
Even if you aren't one of the people who became a millionaire this year, the fact that your local ecosystem is suddenly producing them at an 8% faster clip means the opportunities around you are multiplying.
Exactly. It changes the entire cultural paradigm of what is financially possible.
How so?
Well, in a major U.S. city, a millionaire is culturally commonplace, right?
Yeah, they're everywhere.
It is expected. But in a rapidly growing Eastern European market, that sudden velocity of wealth creation transforms the local business culture.
You start believing you can do it too.
Exactly. You suddenly have local angel investors funding new ideas. You have a wave of innovation and risk-taking because people finally see that immense financial upside is achievable in their own backyard.
When you look at your own portfolio after seeing all this data, it really completely changes your perspective.
It forces you to look outside your own individual effort.
You aren't just battling your own budget or your own savings habits.
Right.
Reaching a high level of wealth absolutely requires your own personal discipline. We still have to put in the work. But this 2025 UBS Global Wealth Report proves that the macroeconomic environment you live in acts as a massive defining multiplier on your personal efforts.
A multiplier is the perfect word for it.
You are either fighting the current or riding it.
Whether you are stepping onto the automated escalator of U.S. equities or catching the rising tide of European regional collaboration.
Or anchoring yourself in Japanese stability.
Right, or launching alongside Indian economic expansion, or feeling the raw momentum of Eastern European growth. Your physical geography is an active partner in your financial journey.
So before we wrap this up, having looked at all this data, where does this leave us looking forward?
Well, we have spent this entire discussion looking at definitive proof of how deeply tied wealth creation is to physical geography and local market structure.
It's undeniably tied to it.
But it leaves us with a really provocative question for the future.
Which is,
as the world shifts increasingly toward remote work, borderless digital businesses, and nomadic lifestyles, will these geographical advantages eventually flatten out?
oh, wow. That is a great question.
Think about it. 10 or 20 years from now, will the physical location of your financial assets, like the jurisdiction where you hold your equities and your bank accounts, matter far more than the country where you actually happen to sit when you open your laptop?
Will the geography of your money completely divorce from the geography of your body?
Exactly.
That is definitely something to mull over as you look at your own financial landscape. Thank you for joining us as we explore the hidden architecture of wealth on this deep dive. Keep questioning the systems around you. Keep looking for those invisible variables. And as always, keep learning.